Hello, and welcome to the CounselEAR Complete OMS tutorial on the CounselEAR Telehealth system. We'll begin by showing the activation process within CounselEAR, and then show how you can utilize the telehealth system with your patients, with their caregivers, their children, as well as your staff. Before we get into that process, though, I want to mention that in order to use the CounselEAR Telehealth system, you only need an internet-enabled device that has a camera and a microphone. So that may be your laptop, potentially your desktop, your tablet computer, your smartphone. That goes for patients as well. There's no specific software that's required. There's no login, for example, for the patient. I'll show you how they join the meeting in just a moment, but it's a very simple process. This system is supported on PC-based systems, Android, Apple-based systems, so any internet-enabled device with a camera and a microphone will give you the ability to utilize telehealth. So let's begin here by clicking on Administration in the top menu bar and then selecting Clinic List. This, of course, will show you your list of clinics. Go ahead and click the Edit option off to the right of the clinic that you wish to activate. Then choose the Advanced Settings option. Scroll down to the telehealth section and click the settings feature. Now, this one is already checked. Typically, this would not be checked, so you would just go ahead, check the box, and click Close. Before I leave the screen, I should mention, if you see a charge related to this, please ignore this. CounselEAR has elected to provide unlimited telehealth at no charge to all CounselEAR Complete OMS users. So if you see this, please ignore it. But go ahead and click Close, and then a very important step here. You want to make sure you click Save at the bottom of the screen. That locks in that change to activate, in this case, this clinic with telehealth. If you wish to activate additional clinics, just please follow those same steps for each additional clinic. All right, once you have telehealth activated, you will see it pop up in the right-hand corner of your screen, top right-hand corner of your screen. That will give you the ability to start a session on demand. There's two ways to start sessions, telehealth sessions within CounselEAR. On demand directly from this button, as well as setting up appointments specifically for telehealth. We'll start with the on demand, and then I'll show you the process for scheduling as well. So I'll click here. That will open up the telehealth session. This, of course, would have your logo and your information. Okay, you type in your name, you click Join Now. This will launch the telehealth session. Now, typically, you would see the camera pop up here. It would show you your current image. So you could shift the camera, you could reposition, you could make sure that everything's ready in your background for this telehealth session. Unfortunately, because I'm recording, it's not allowing me to show that as well. But once you felt comfortable with the image, you would go ahead then and click on Invite. This is where you type in the patient's email address or their spouse's email or caregiver or children's or your staff's email. Once you type in that, just type in one email, click Invite. It will send out that invitation to the recipient. If you have additional people you wish to invite, go ahead then and perform the process again. Send out another email. With the invite, you can have up to 6 participants on a single telehealth session. Okay, so if you're thinking about a staff meeting, for example, or the patient and their daughter, you could have multiple people in the session at one time. Now, once the recipient receives the email, there's very simple instructions to click a link. That brings them to the same pop-up screen we just saw where you type in your name. They do so. It activates the camera on their device automatically, and you will see them here in the session. So very quickly, you can have this session going. While you're in the session, you have the ability to chat with the patient, so you can type in messages, they can chat back. So anything you wish, maybe there's a bit of confusion over a specific point or you want to emphasize something, of course you can chat. You also have the ability to perform a screen share. So if you want to flip this over and show your screen, you can do so with a single click here. When the telehealth session is complete, go ahead and click the hang up option. Of course, the patient can hang up as well. And of course, that will end the session. Now, if you did that inadvertently or just too quickly, you can go ahead and click join again, and that will add you back into that session. Okay. As I mentioned, very quick and easy to activate telehealth through the Start Telehealth Session icon here. That's just your on-demand. You can do it right away. You also have the ability to schedule telehealth sessions. There's a small amount of setup with this, but then enables much of the rest of the process to be automated. So if you wish to schedule telehealth sessions, you'll want to do 2 things. First off, you'll want to set up at least one appointment type that's dedicated for telehealth. So this is going to be one that specifically, you may even call it telehealth, or you may have additional names for it, right? And then you would go ahead, if it's not reactivated, you would click on that appointment type and select the telehealth option. So Counselor knows that appointment type is related to telehealth. Okay, and then of course once you make that change, or you could of course update existing appointment types as well. So you could say, hey, let's take this one in particular and let's make this telehealth. Right, this one, in this case, I've already done that. And then of course you click save. The other thing you want to do is make sure that your email templates, if you use appointment confirmation automation, meaning you're sending out the appointment confirmations automatically, you want to make sure those appointment types fit with the concept of telehealth. And we can assist you with this. If you do not already have a template in place, we can provide one for you. But this will enable you to have telehealth appointment notification, also telehealth appointment confirmation as well. And what will happen there is the template can be set up to not only provide a link to the telehealth session, but a link to test their system. So a patient or a caregiver can actually test the device they'll be conducting the session on prior to your visit, okay, or prior to the appointment, I should say. Now, from the schedule itself, you of course would go ahead and schedule a telehealth appointment. Here I have one in place. Not the best example because you wouldn't typically perform this via telehealth, but let's go with this. What you'll see here is there is an option to join the session. So this is where, as the provider, you could launch the telehealth session. The patient, of course, launches their side of it from the email that was sent out. Okay, but when you want to actually join in, you click this. Now, if either one of you attempt to join the session outside of the session window, and that's an hour before and an hour after the appointment time, okay, or an hour before the start of the appointment time and an hour after the end of the appointment time. If you try to enter after those times, it will simply just tell you when your appointment's scheduled. So for example, if the patient receives the email and attempts to join the telehealth session a day early, it just simply reminds them of when their session actually is. Okay. Now, of course, if things aren't working out, maybe the patient doesn't see the email, or it went to spam, or they're confused in some way. Once again, you can always fall back on the on-demand. So the scheduling can be really convenient and it probably work well most of the time. But if you ever need to, you simply just say, you know what, I'm just going to shoot you an email right now. Right? And you go right through this process and you fire it up and there we go. Now, if you do actually schedule it, that will add some benefit because you can see the downstream effect of that in other places. Sorry about that. You can see for example, in the appointments visits area that this appointment is a telehealth appointment, right? And if I click on it, it will open up the edit appointment window, and I can also join or launch the telehealth session from here as well. So not only from the pop-up, but also from the edit appointment screen as well. So there's a few different ways to see what's going on and to, of course, launch the session. Now, with all this, of course, if you have any questions about how the telehealth system functions, how it can be utilized within your practice, please give us a call, email us, live chat us. We are always happy to help. And thank you so much for joining us for today's CounselEAR Complete Home tutorial on the CounselEAR Telehealth system.